So what up? How's it going, Macaron? How are you? Love the rundown of the Mid-Atlantic. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you. That seems to be a pretty popular one, so I really appreciate people's support of that. Okay, let's get into it. So I was actually trying to get some images of Paintball Planet, which is this place that that we were wanting to play at, but I couldn't find any. So once I figured I couldn't find any images of pretty much any of my story, I decided to scrap the whole image idea entirely. So hopefully by using a bit of paint, you guys will appreciate this. But let me tell you the story of my first time playing paintball. Okay, we're gonna actually cut the music here real quick. Actually, no, we'll leave it. We'll leave it for a second. So the very first time I ever played paintball was when I was 10 years old. And I had a friend. I'm going to have to change their names here. We'll call him Jesse. Shout out from Oregon. Hey, Emil Smith, welcome. Thank you. We'll call him Jesse, okay? And it was my friend Jesse's birthday. And I believe it was our 10th birthday. Though my memory is not super great. My wife knows this. So I could be wrong about which birthday it was, but that doesn't matter. And we were going to do something fun together, and my friend Jesse's dad suggested that we try out paintball because none of us had played it at that point. And I actually think like between 10 and 12, that's a pretty good time to get started in paintball. So in any case, he suggested we go to this place called Paintball Planet. Now, for any gurus that are watching right now, if you have the ability to go use the Wayback Machine and find images of that facility, and I don't know, send me like a DM on Discord, that would be awesome, because I just tried and it keeps giving me just this random error. So in any case, Paintball Planet was awesome. We looked up, I think it was just on the internet, because Facebook at the time I don't think was around, or maybe it was still brand new. And we saw that it had it was a double-decker facility. So the top floor had, it was essentially two balconies that would shoot at each other. And then you'd have here. I don't know if I want to draw it right now necessarily, but so if this is this is weird. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So if this is the facility, this is the arena. So you have, this is nice. So then you have this upper deck that goes kind of like this. And these are stairs that lead up to the upper floors. Wow, this is really bad. Guys, I'm so bad at this, okay? Forgive me. So this is the downstairs, and this is the upstairs, okay? Oh, come on. Upstairs, okay? So you would spawn, you'd spawn here, and you'd push out, and you could immediately see each other from either side. Okay, it's going to take some getting used to, so forgive me. Anyway, not that really matters, but I just figured that'd be kind of interesting. So this was like the holy grail of paintball at the time in Utah. And so we were getting pretty jazzed up about it. But on the day of my friend's birthday, my friend's dad, Jesse's dad, said, okay, guys, we're gonna go play paintball, but there's one thing we got to do before we can go play. And we're like, okay, that's fine. We were little kids. We didn't have any preference. We were just excited to play paintball. He said, yeah, you just got to run a real quick errand, okay? And he didn't really tell us much about it, but we thought, okay, that's fine. Now, to give you an idea of this family, okay, Jesse's a very typical middle-class kid, okay? His parents were probably lower middle class, but they were, like everybody else in the neighborhood. And I would say that the place that I grew up in, which is still kind of where I'm living right now, is like relatively affluent. But at the time, with the housing crash and all this stuff, which I think this did happen before all of that. But anyway, just to give you an idea, these weren't like shady individuals. This is a very, we played video games, stuff like that. And so we're driving along the road and we come up to this house. Now, the reason I wanted to use paint is because I feel like the easiest way to follow this story, which is absolutely true, is to use a bit of a map, okay? Now, again, my drawing skills are pretty bad. Looks like a monster. My drawing skills are pretty bad, but you guys will have to be patient with me, okay? So we pull up to this house, and this is kind of the configuration of the house. Okay, so here's the main road. Okay, and you pull into a driveway. This is important, okay, guys? I promise you this is important. So here's the house. Okay, here, we'll draw. Gotta be I just gotta be gentle. I'm realizing that that's the key here, okay? So here's the driveway, here's the house. We'll label this as H, okay? And we pull up here. So here's the car. This is so weird. And in front of the car is this pickup truck. I'm going to see if I can draw. You have a little perspective, right? There's the flatbed. Or we'll just draw it in. Okay, here, we're actually going to turn this off for now. So, here's our car. Okay, we're going to label it with C. I promise this is important. Oh, come on. It's doing like weird random commands. Okay. So we pull up and he says, "All right, guys, I've got to do this little quick errand, but I want you guys to stay in the car, okay? Do not come inside the house for whatever reason. I have these walkie-talkies, and I'll give you guys, I think it was just one walkie-talkie, and I want you guys to turn to, you know, this frequency, whatever." Again, we're like 10, 11 years old at the time, okay? And we were kind of intrigued, also a little weirded out, but I just remember the time really not thinking it was very, like, if there was anything suspicious about this. I just thought it was kind of weird. And so he says, "Turn to this frequency, and in case we run into any sort of emergencies, here's the backup channel." And I still remember to this day that he gave us a backup channel, okay? And he said, "Now, in addition to you guys, like, don't come into the house for any reason. I'll be communicating to you guys, you know, letting you know how, you know, when I'll be out and stuff like that. But the reason I want you guys to have this walkie-talkie is because this house over here," which, again, I'll draw with a little bit of perspective, okay? Oh, hold on. Got to redo that line. So here's the house. Pretty typical house, right? I remember it was kind of flattish. Okay. And in this house was this big window. Okay. Huge window. And then I think here was like the front door or something like that. So it's across the street. And he said, "Now in this house, there is a guy with a very specific," and again, we were kids with very big imaginations, a .357 Magnum. Okay. And the rumor is that he has, you know, he's killed kids before, right? So like, you guys aren't safe if you leave this car. You guys need to stay in the car. And at this point, again, we're just like young 10, 11-year-old kids, very little exposure to the world, have no reason to really believe this story, but also, like, it's weird that somebody that we know would tell us this, right? Like, this is my friend's dad, who I've known at the time. I moved to Utah when I was 8, so I've known him for at least 2.5 years at this point, and spent a lot of times at their house in the summer. And so I have no reason to, like, not believe this, but it's also very unbelievable. But that's at the moment when things start to get super weird, okay? So our heart rates, at least mine, is starting to accelerate, whatever. So then he goes off into the house, okay? Which is, the door's like literally right here. So he parked right next to the door. And he goes inside, okay? So I remember he gets inside, and he calls us on the radio, and he's like, "Hey guys, you there? Do you hear me loud and clear?" And we're like, yeah, we hear you. You know, he's like, "Everything okay out there?" Yeah, we're fine. This is like right when he gets in, okay? He's like, "Okay guys, like, again, don't come in the house. I'm just running a quick errand, and then I'll be out and we can go play paintball." And it's like, okay, fine. So we sit there, and he's like, "You know, we're looking out towards this house right now. We're looking over this way. If we see anything weird, we'll let you know, okay?" And we're like, "Okay, like, why would you see anything weird?" And so, Zeke, Art, Night, Pog, let's go. So anyway, he said, like, "I'll watch over you guys, but just stay in the car." So we thought, okay, fine. So I think probably 5-10 minutes pass, nothing of excitement happens, but he keeps tuning in, you know, about every 5 to 10 minutes. And it's like, "Okay, I don't see him over there. I think you guys are fine. Like, just stay in the car," so on and so forth. Okay. And so then eventually what happens is probably about 15 minutes in, he calls us and he says, hey, like, I think I see him in the window. I'm not sure if I saw him with the gun in hand or not, but like, you guys just like, you know, stay on high alert. I'll let you guys know if something happens or if you need to, you know, if you need to go or whatever, or if we need to go or something. And so again, like, he's kind of just amping up our whole anxiety of the whole experience for, you know, and for reasons we don't know. So then he calls in again, probably 2 or 3 minutes later, and he says, guys, I see him. I think he's coming out to you right now. You need to leave right now. You need to get out of the car right now and go to the truck in front of you, like all of you, okay? And I forgot to mention that there's me, my friend Jesse, and then 2 of our other friends, which doesn't really matter, but in any case, there's us 4, I guess. I showed 3 fingers, us 4. So we're in a, it's a Ford Durango, I'm pretty sure. Either a Ford Explorer or Ford Durango. So... is that a Ford? Dodge Durango. It would be a Dodge Durango or Ford Explorer. In any case, we sprint out of the car. Oh, hold on. We sprint out of the car, and he's like, get in the back of the flatbed and lay down. Get in the back of the flatbed and lay down, and I'll tell you if the coast is clear. But what we thought was happening was that this guy was taking a walk to look inside of our car. Okay. Now, I was terrified enough that I kept my eyes straight. I didn't look behind me. As soon as he told us that, he had a lot of, he sounded scared. So he had a lot of urgency in his voice. He told us to get out, start running. I didn't question it. I just did it. Okay. So we get in the back of the flatbed, and probably 15 to 30 seconds at most later, the car alarm goes off on the truck. And so I'm freaking out. We're all kind of freaking out. So we radio him back and like, the car alarm's going off. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? So he calls us back and he says, get out of the truck, get out of the truck, go back to the car, or whatever. So we hop back out and we go back into the car. All these lines are going to not make very much sense, so I'm going to keep it kind of clean. So we now are back in the car. And at this point, I'm panicking. I have cotton mouth. My heart rate is through the roof. And I still remember that. But I was like actually scared. I was thinking like, this isn't safe. I don't understand why we're here. What's taking him so long? Was there a guy that was actually coming across the street? What's going on? So we're back in the car now. And he says, okay, the coast is clear. I think it was just a false alarm. But we're all like, what happened with the truck? Like, why did the car alarm go off? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure what happened there, but like, it's all safe. You guys are good. Just hang tight. You know, I'll be done in just a minute and then we'll go play. So we're like, okay, fine. So it goes quiet for a little bit. And then somebody comes onto the radio on our channel. And I don't remember much of what they said, but I do remember that the person sounded very creepy. And he started cussing at us. I can't even like give you a sample sentence of what he was saying. But I just remember he was saying very like profane things to a 10-year-old. Okay. And because we weren't sure if this was like somebody from inside the house or if it was the neighbor supposedly that like somehow got access to our channel. So were kind of scared, and we started radioing saying like, hey, you know, so-and-so's dad, are you there? Like, you know, is this you? Do we need to go to our backup channel? And he didn't say anything. And the guy sounded super confused. He then, you know, responded and started cussing us out again. And so we got really scared and we went to the backup channel. And so that, you know, maybe another 5 minutes passes and we finally hear from Jesse's dad, who's like, hey, you know, I didn't hear you guys. I don't know what happened, but like, here we are on the channel. It's like, okay, great. We're all good. And so he starts communicating. And again, he says, hey guys, like just a few more minutes and then we'll go. So at this point, it's probably been, I would say 35 to 40 minutes. Okay. That's how long. Oh, that 0 is painful. I have to redo that. Okay. That's how long it's been. 35 to 40 minutes, give or take. And he says, all right, guys, we're going to go in just a minute, but there's one last thing that we have to do. Okay. Now, what I'm about to tell you is not going to make literally any sense. Can we get this street in a guns up layout? So this isn't going to make any sense at all. Okay. But you guys are just going to have to bear with me. Now, I will admit this is my 10-year-old brain trying to recall most of this information. And at this point, my adrenaline has been up and down. My heart rate's through the roof. I'm just trying to calm down now. And I still have the worst cotton mouth ever. And so he says, okay, now listen. There's going to be a woman that comes around from the front of the house to your guys' left, because at this point, this is the direction that the car is facing. So what he's essentially telling us is there's going to be a woman that comes from behind the car and is going to ask you to roll down the rear view window, okay? The rear window on that side of the car. He was very particular about details. He said she's going to be wearing a red skirt and some kind of like purple blouse or something. I'm pretty sure he didn't say blouse, but he just said like purplish shirt or something like that. I do remember the red skirt. I don't remember the top exactly, but I do remember it was kind of I think it was a blouse or a tank top or something. And so he said she's going to come up to that side of the window. She's going to say a few things to you, and she's going to ask for a code word, and you need to give her the code word. Okay. If you don't give her the right code word, something bad is going to happen. But you have to give her the right code word, okay? If you give her the right code word, she'll give you a reward which tells you that, you know, you gave her the right word. That word is apple, okay? That code word is apple. Wow, those E's are weird. There we go. He said, okay, she's going to come in just a few minutes, all right? So get ready, get ready. And we're all like, he adds more and more detail to this that I don't remember. But he says that, like, we have to do this in order for us to leave. So by, you know, the implication of all that has happened, we're like not safe because of some mysterious like power in this house that is like trying to trap us. And that the only way for us to get out of here is if we give this lady a code at this point, for whatever reason. We have no idea. And so sure enough, we're all staring in the back of this car, like in whatever seat we can. We're just staring out the back looking. And it's like 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And so she eventually comes out, and then she turns harshly because we didn't know who it was at first. We were like, that's a red skirt. Is that her? Is that her? She comes up. Now, I remember that within the seat configuration, which this doesn't matter, but here are the seats. Okay, here's the seat. I was sitting right here, and I was very insistent that I do not share the code word. But I had a friend here and a friend here, and then my other friend, I'm pretty sure, was in the driver's seat, or the passenger seat of the driver. It might have been Jesse. I don't remember who. All I remember is that this person right here was my friend. We'll call him Nick. Not that this really matters, okay? So I'm panicking as she's walking to us, like actively having a panic attack. And I'm pretty sure that was the first panic attack I've ever had. But I'm like hyperventilating. I have super bad cotton mouth because for whatever reason, my imagination is telling me that if I don't give her the right code word, I'm going to die for whatever reason. Okay. Because again, a lot of the chime in that was coming in through the radio from Jesse's dad was things that didn't sound good. It was like, hey, just a few more minutes. I'm not sure what's going on. Hang tight. Like, we're still keeping an eye on the house. Doesn't look like anybody's moving inside, or, you know, opposite. I think I saw some movement. I'm not sure if I saw a silver magnum or not. You know, he was very, very creative and imaginative with his descriptions. So she comes around and taps on the window and asks to, you know, roll down the window. I don't know what that is. That's just me like tapping sounds. Okay. So he rolls down the window. She says some things that I don't remember at this point. And then she says, what's the password, or what's the code word, or something like that. And as soon as she asked that question, I break down. I freak out. I am sobbing. I can't handle it anymore. There's so much ratcheted pressure and anxiety that I literally I lose it. And my friend Nick says the password, and she hands him $1. She hands over $1. That's supposed to be $1, and says correct. And then she just walks away. Okay. And my friends are trying to console me at this point. And I think even she tried to console me. That's right. She didn't just turn around and walk away. She's actively trying to comfort me and console me. And like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, I don't even remember what she was saying other than that. And so eventually, probably 30 to 60 seconds after that, our friend's dad comes out of the house. And I remember, I think he exited. I actually don't think he exited with anybody, but he comes over and he gets in the car and he's like, hey man, it's okay. It's okay. Like, everything's okay. It's all fine. We're going to go play paintball. Like, I'm done with my errand, whatever. And then she eventually leaves. And then I somehow calm down. And we drive off to Paintball Planet, which was probably, I think it was like another 5 minutes from here. It was pretty close. And I remember the biggest distinctive feature I remember about this town, or this little area of town, was that this is a single bedroom. This is a single floored house. It looked very typical, but it was generally not like a great neighborhood. And so that also played into kind of the tensions, right? Stereotypically not good looking, which if you think that's racist, so be it. In any case, we go play paintball and we have the time of our lives. I still remember, and I'll wrap up this story like, what does all of this mean? What does this have to do with anything? Okay. So, but first, we go to Paintball Planet. If anybody from Utah has ever been to Paintball Planet, you know that they give you like these almost like dentist. You know how when you get your teeth scanned for like x-rays, they'll give you that kind of heavy draped thing over you. It's kind of like an apron. That's almost what it was that you wore when you played at this facility, right? It was like brown on one side and yellow on the other side, and those are the two teams. And anyway, we went and played, had an absolute blast. It was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had, and I think it probably took me like another 9 months to go play after that, maybe because of this experience, but that was literally the first time I ever played paintball. Now, actually, yeah. Okay. So what does any of this have to do with why was it that he was in the house so long? Who is this person? What does any of this mean? Okay. Now I found out, so again, this is when I was probably like 10, almost 11. I found out 8 years later, after I believe Jesse's dad, I think he had passed. No, he hadn't passed away at this point. But they had moved to the East Coast, we'll keep it vague. And the parents had gotten a divorce probably within 3 years after this experience, if not sooner than that. And my mom and Jesse's mom was talking one day, and I don't remember how this came up, but just so you're aware, like, this is a pretty influential experience for me. I don't know in what way it influenced me, so maybe that's kind of hard to say, but I do remember this being an experience that I told pretty much all of my close friends, because it was just so insane to me, and I thought that I was actually in danger. And what's funny is that I've talked to my other friends about the same experience, and they all look at me like, dude, you're crazy. Like, we were laughing. The whole thing was just crazy, and it was so funny. And I had, for some reason, taken it very serious. And so I thought I was in real danger, especially the car thing. When we left our car to get into the back of this truck, and then the alarm went off and he sounded panicked over the radio and told us to get back in the other car, that's when it wasn't a joke to me anymore. But they just thought it was funny. And so anyway, they're talking, and I don't know how this comes up, but Jesse's mom ends up telling my mom that Jesse's dad had a hard drug problem, had a crack problem, I think. Maybe it wasn't crack. I don't remember which. No, it was cocaine. Had a cocaine problem. Now, most of you guys, like, this might not be that. I mean, it's hard to explain to you why this was such a shock, okay? Jesse's dad was a very interesting character. And I remember he was like a very crass individual. But the reason why that is interesting is that at the time, like, and I still am to this day, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or commonly referred to as Mormons, right? And for anybody who has any friends that are Mormons or knows anything about us, we're pretty straight edged, you could say, right? We don't drink, we don't do drugs, we don't do this, we don't do that. Obviously, people are people, they're individuals, they do their own thing. But as a young 10-year-old kid, I grew up thinking that everybody that was in this church was, like, obviously perfect, right? As a naive 10-year-old kid, I hadn't met anybody at that point who had even smoked weed, right? I grew up in a very sheltered neighborhood. So when I found out at 18, 8 years later after this experience, that, oh yeah, like, he was buying drugs in that house. Like, he was going in and buying drugs. That's why it took so long. And he probably even did drugs while he was there, because that whole experience took almost 60 minutes. And it was a shock to me, right? But again, he's a weird guy, but I would never have thought that he was. And it wasn't just like, oh yeah, he was buying weed. Oh yeah, he was buying this, he was buying that. He was buying cocaine, which to me at the time was a very hardcore drug, right? I don't know what people's opinions are on it now, but in any case, it was a crazy, crazy, crazy experience. Now, the reason I always say this story is this lady, we'll call her, seemed to be a lady of the night, was just, I will never forget her face. It's hard for me to describe, and I certainly can't draw it, but I guess the best thing to describe it from an adult lens is that she was probably in her late 20s, but looked like she was in her early 40s. Her face was haggard. It was rugged. It was wrinkled. It looked like, in hindsight, like it was a person who was addicted to drugs. And she was very, very scantily dressed. I still remember, like, the reason that the thumbnail of this video has that GTA chick in it is because, and I couldn't find a picture that had a transparent background, and I didn't care to go through the hassle. But, like, if you guys have ever seen, and in fact, I think I can pull it up right now. That's not the right thing. I'll have to do it off screen here really quick. GTA 5. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for pulling this up. I should be fine. It's GTA, right? Let's see. It's not like the cliched ones. It's actually just, it's the art. It's the loading screen art that, oh, I think I have it on my desktop. I'll read chat here in just a second, guys. Hold on. It's this picture. This is like obvious. I mean, she didn't look this presentable, but if you swapped those colors, that's pretty much what she looked like in my 10-year-old memory. So that's the reason why I always tell people, oh yeah, like my first experience with paintball involved a crack house and a prostitute. And I don't feel like I'm that far off. So in any case, I have a lot of other experiences after this, especially ones that were, again, pretty influential and what ultimately led to where I am today with paintball. But I enjoy that story. That's my first experience playing paintball. Ever since then, I got hooked. It's been hard for me to get away from it, as most people now. So that's my story. All right, let's see what chat has to say about this. So glad I finished my workout in time for this. Welcome. Faddish. Sounds like a communication drill. Bro, now they're never going to be able to use Apple again. That story is absolute bonkers. Wild story, bro. Lead apron. Lol, 10 out of 10 story. That's what it is. Lead apron. Okay. The thing, guys, you have to realize that it's hard for me to tell this story because I don't even believe it sometimes. This story is insane to me. It is mythical at this point because it's hard to trust a 10-year-old kid's memory. But I've asked my friends, I've asked Nick. The only person I have never asked this story about, funny enough, is Jesse. I've never asked Jesse what he remembers about this story. Partly because, again, his family shortly after this moved to the East Coast. And again, his parents were going through a divorce, and so on and so forth. And so, anyway, it would be funny to ask him to be like, what do you remember about this? Because this was like, I'm sure that most of my other friends don't even remember this story now if we were to talk about it. But I remember this story very specifically in some details. So, Derek, what's up, buddy? How are you? Did Jesse's mom have it going on? Absolutely. He totally did, and was effing with some kids for giggles. That guy is a legend. I'd definitely be freaking out by that age. Insane, dude. He did a line with his dealer and scared you straight. Absolutely. Lady of the night. I don't know. It seems weird to call her the thing, you know? Honestly, pretty representative paintball experience. This story from his dad's point of view would be hilarious. It would. No audio for you. Oh, it seems like everybody else has audio, Derek. I'm not sure. Anyway. Oh, that's the alarm. That's my alarm. Okay, guys, so what the plan is for the rest of the stream, I know the night is young, okay? We've only been streaming for about 35 minutes. So I'm going to go help move this furniture into the house. It's probably going to take me 5 minutes at most. Probably less. I know that somebody from my Discord server, JTunes, had asked, hey, maybe it would be interesting to hear you talk about the differences between the heyday of paintball, like 2005 to 2008, versus now. So we maybe, if you guys are interested, we could watch YouTube videos and I could talk about it. From my perspective, I could tell you more stories about the very influential experiences that I had that ultimately led me here today. And then maybe for the latter half of the stream, we can play 2D paintball. Anybody from the chat who wants to join, feel free to. We can get some games going and then we'll finish the stream off. But I got to go do that right now. So I'll be right back. If you guys are going to hang around, please get a drink, enjoy yourselves, and I will see you in just a minute, okay? Be right back. All right. That was actually much faster because I didn't need to bring it down. They're going to just assemble it outside. And then I almost feel like I should save this picture. I'm not going to. You know, I was thinking before this stream started, I was thinking to myself, man, I used to be a much better storyteller. I feel like an old man now. And not an old man who is good at telling stories. I feel like an old man who just like, depending on the story that I tell, if you guys ask me stories about me playing, you know, like me playing Halo Reach in a hotel room with Ninja, I could absolutely tell you that story in amazing detail. And it's mostly because a lot of my Halo experiences are much more recent than some of my paintball experiences. And so it's really hard for me to like, my memory from 13 under is really bad for some reason, but 14 and over, I got great memory. I could tell you all the details about it. And that's, you know, obviously this is a paintball stream, but I have a lot of experiences because of my travels and playing MLG tournaments with various different pros in the Halo esports scene, or just different, you know, experiences in gaming. And a lot of those are a lot more recent. And so some of my experiences with paintball are hard to remember. Actually, the other day I found these things, which are these trophies here really quick that I thought was cool. So, oh, that's not a paintball trophy. What? Maybe these aren't paintball trophies. Oh, okay. Yeah, they are. I don't know why I have a Salt Lake Comic-Con trophy. I don't know what that's for. So here's some OG trophies, okay? While y'all were getting into paintball, I was winning tournaments. Nah, man, your stories are absolute wild. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So here you go. Here's a fun one. Oh, it's backwards. Oh, that's awkward. Hold on. Webcam. Oh, wrong one. Undo. Vertically. There we go. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. So here is wait, chronological. I'm glad that they have the dates on these. That's actually really cool. Okay, so my first ever tournament I ever played. So let me tell you just some like really quick stories about some of my first early tournaments, and then we can talk about the heyday of paintball and how things have changed, and watch some YouTube videos. Hopefully, I'm not sure how well we can watch YouTube videos because, one, when I tried to do that last time, it didn't work very well, but also YouTube's content ID system is good enough that I actually might get flagged and taken down. So I don't know if that's a great idea. But so to continue the story, I don't have any images of this either, so you have to forgive me. But when I played in that tournament, or excuse me, that wasn't a tournament. I played at Paintball Planet, excuse me. And then I think it took me like 9 months to play again. And then after that, I played again. And by the time I played the third time, I went to a facility called Paintball Addicts. And I remember for the Christmas just before I went to play at Paintball Addicts, I got this gun. Some of you guys are going to like this. You guys will have to tell me what your first paintball guns were, because this is so funny to look back on. This was my first paintball gun ever. Sick, I was 10. This is my first paintball gun ever that I owned, okay? The Piranha. The Piranha. I don't even remember where I got it from. Actually, I wouldn't know because my parents got it for me for Christmas. So they got me this paintball gun, and it was an electronic gun. So I remember being like, okay, this is like a step up, right? This is a step up from, you know, the strict mechanical guns, which it was barely barely an electric gun. Had a very, very crappy trigger, but I remember that I would sit at home and rock the trigger on that for hours using both hands, right? I would just be watching, I'd probably be watching like SpongeBob, and I would be doing this. Actually, I wouldn't have been watching SpongeBob. I would have been watching something earlier than that. But I was just sitting there and I was rocking the trigger, and I was so determined to get so good. Okay. And so first gun was a Spider Extra, still have it. Eventually upped it with an E-frame from a friend, E99. Okay, nice. So very similar to your Fishy. So I walked that trigger like crazy, and I heard, I don't remember how, but I heard that there was a tournament in the area. And I thought, because I had such a great experience at Paintball Addicts. Oh, that's right. I went to Paintball Addicts, and I was there the day that they had a tournament. And it was straight lucky. There was I didn't know about it. I just showed up, and they were not allowing like free play. And so I watched this tournament for a long time, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is really cool. And then that's when I think it was after that point, I got my paintball gun, and then I got ready for this winter 3-man tournament that they were hosting. And I remember there was a few interactions that I had from that experience to the tournament itself, where I met a few people. And in fact, this is the very first team I had ever played on. It was called the Blues Clues. Okay. This is the very first team I ever played on. And I'm actually thinking, okay, yeah. So this is accurate. Okay, cool. So anyway, I want to see if you guys can guess which one is me. My first was a Spider. Imagine. First shot, Tippmann pump, first owned, Tippmann A5, first electric, SP Ion, Smarts Part Ion. You can even see that that's right here. I think, oh, I can't actually remember. Okay, so I am getting my dates off a little here, but that's okay. We'll press forward. So, my first gun I used was my stepbrother's old school CO2 pump. First I owned was a JT TAC 5. Nice. So anyway, I go to this tournament, and I don't remember if I was playing with these guys. Yes, actually, no, this is the same tournament. Okay, this is crazy. I'm remembering this as I'm telling it. So these guys asked me, hey, do you want to play on our team? You know, we needed another guy, because they only had 3, and it was a 3-man tournament. So they thought, like, we're going to need breaks. You know, we're going to need time in between sipping our juice boxes, you know, sippies, and we're going to need somebody to fill in. So I thought, sure, like, why not? And at that point, I had all the getup. So I'll tell you, this is me. I'm the blue one here. Okay. I bet the blue proto OSZ. He got it, dude. Ninja PV got it, dude. Or PV Ninja. Let's go. Okay. This is me. You're right. Most people say that this is me. I think the most common one is that people say this is me, and then they'll say this is me. But I mean, there's obviously not much to go off of. But look at these freaking gloves, dude. Look at these gloves. Those are JT gloves with the electric, or I think it's either barbed wire or lightning bolts on the fingers. Those are OG, dude. Those are freaking sick. Yo, you got it. Okay. So anyway, they asked me to play in the team. I say yes. I'm still shooting my Piranha at this point. And the first point we ever played was against a team called Ballistic. And Ballistic at the time was probably it was tied for the largest organization in the area. In terms of how many teams they had. It wasn't the best organization. It was just tied for the most. I'm pretty sure they had They had a Young Guns roster of, I think, 4, and then they had a rookie roster and a novice roster for anybody who's familiar with like 7-man rankings and stuff. And I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they had at least 3 teams. And then the other team that was really popular at the time was Paintball Addicts' factory team, which also had, I think it had 4 rosters. It had, so I guess they weren't tied in that case. They had 2 Young Gun squads, like a black and a red squad, and then they had a rookie squad and a novice squad that were 7-man. And so go to this tournament. I remember waking up at 4:30 in the morning, and Gazerk with the $2 donation, buddy. Thank you. With the $2 super chat. Thank you. I don't know why I don't get super chat audio. I don't think you guys do either because of that. So I apologize that there's no like cool audio sound for that. But thanks, buddy. By the way, I always forget to preface my streams with this. If you guys enjoy the content, if you're liking it, please like and subscribe for those who watch this YouTube video. Also consider becoming a member. I know there's not like a ton of benefits for you guys right now, but there are some pretty sweet emojis that you can use in the chat. In any case, it helps me out a lot. So, I wake up at like 4:45 in the morning, which is like the earliest I'd ever woken up at this point in my life, I'm pretty sure. And I get to the field, which is an indoor field, and it was super cold outside because I think it was in December that this tournament held. I know, actually, it can't be. It was in March, so I'm not sure if it was just really cold that time of year or what, but I remember it was super, super early. So we show up, we play that first point. I have my Piranha in hand, and we get smoked. I still remember to this day that I pushed right, and I absolutely could not do anything. I was just getting shot at, and I was just like inside my bunker, and then I got bunkered, and then the game was over. That's pretty much what happened. And it was not a field that had, it wasn't a field that had inflatable bunkers. It had like 2 Doritos on the Dorito side, and then it had, everything else was like essentially houses, you know, like walls and stuff with like windows in them. That was the 3-man field for this tournament. Got absolutely smoked. My dad was there with me, and I remember coming off the field, and one of the first things that I blamed was, I can't shoot my gun as fast as them. I can't shoot my gun as fast as them. You know, and I'm not sure if I was that angsty at the time. Because at this point, I was like 11, I was probably 12 and a half by the time I played in this tournament. Almost 13, probably. And yeah, I probably would have just turned 13. Because my birthday's in October. And so anyway, we get smoked and we're scrambling. Okay. So my dad at this very moment becomes incredibly invested in paintball, because this is not only one of the first sports besides football and like a few other things that I'd tried. This is one of the first sports that he could tell I was not only very into, but he also was very into. So we immediately walked over to the pro shop, which is inside the facility. And we're like, we need a gun right now. We need a gun right now. And so I'm scrambling, like, because we're in the middle of the tournament and I need a gun to replace what I've got. And so we're like, well, give me your advice. Give me, you know, give the pro shop guy at the time is like, okay, well, we've got like, I mean, what's your budget? Like, we've got this gun here, this PM6, we've got this Die DM6, we've got this Ego 06, whatever, you know, a lot of different guns there. And I was like, I like the red one. Give me the red one. And it was, sure enough, it was a PM6. I still remember this gun. I miss this gun. I wish I had kept it. I really, really wish I kept this gun. This is one of my favorite guns of all time. So it did, at the time, it did not have the ultralight frame. I'm pretty sure the ultralight frame had not been released for this gun yet. So it was totally stock, and it was this beautiful, beautiful red. Okay, very nice gun. Dad to the rescue. Absolutely. So get this gun. I don't know anything about how to set it up. So I'm like scrambling to have my teammates, anybody else there who's willing to give me, you know, do me a kindness and get this gun set up. So eventually it gets chronoed. I have no idea at the time what that even means. So I was probably shooting even under FPS. No, I knew that it was 275 in the 3-man field, but I didn't know how to chrono the gun. So gun gets chronoed. I go out there, absolutely get smoked again. And just to give you an idea, well, I'm not going to tell that part yet. So anyway, we play. I don't remember how long the tournament was for the 3-man tournament. I don't even remember how many teams. That's not true. I remember how many teams there were. So we finished the day, and sure enough, oh, there it is. Young Guns Division, 3rd place in my first tournament ever. 3rd place in this Young Guns Winter Series tournament. Now, the caveat here is that there were only 3 teams in the entire tournament playing Young Guns. So this is more or less a participation trophy. But dang it, dude, I will take it, okay? I can tell you guys, hey, there was like 40 teams there, dude, and I took 3rd, but I'd be lying. So that's the story of my first paintball tournament. Dude, those PMs were pretty solid for what they were. They were, dude, and with the ultralight frame, those things were awesome. They were really, really fun to shoot. Okay, so that's my story of the first tournament I played, okay? Not a very long one, and that, truthfully, I don't really remember much about it. I do remember that a few times before playing in that tournament, I actually ran into Rob Scott, who was like a local pro there at the time. For some of you might know that name. Rob Scott used to play for the Iron Men back in like the 90s or something. I don't know when they were formed, but I know that he played for the Iron Men way back in the day. You can still find pictures of him. I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Rob Scott, Iron Man. That's going to screw things up. Yeah, here he is. Oh, you can't even see it. Yeah. There is a picture of him in a magazine, like an old school magazine. But I remember meeting him. I don't think it was at the day of the tournament, I'm pretty sure. But he was dressed up in all of his Iron Man uniform and stuff, and it was like very, very intimidating. But he was not a nice guy when I first met him. But I actually would end up meeting him several years later and playing for his team, Twisted, out of Utah, and he saying a lot of promising things about me to my dad, which was really sweet of him. So he was a really, really awesome guy, super kind. But my first interaction with him, I could tell he was like, even as my like 13-year-old self or whatever, I was like, this guy's kind of an asshole. Like, okay, let's move on. So I should probably just explain the stories of these trophies. Okay, so I have another trophy here. So that trophy says that the Winter Series happened between January and to April of 2006. Okay, now there was I'm trying to remember this tournament. I don't remember this trophy actually. I feel like I should, but I don't remember this second place. Oh, maybe I do. I have a few second places. I don't have the trophies for all of them because, you know, paintball's shady and we never got our trophies. So I could probably just show it through pictures. These are the pictures that I have of old school paintball me. Okay, so this is one of the few experiences I had after Paintball Addicts where I tried outdoor paintball. This is me playing for Ballistic, which I'll get to in a minute. And almost all of the pictures I have, except for this one, was me playing for a different team besides Paintball Addicts. So here's what ended up happening, okay? And I'll try to condense this story. I could probably tell it in greater detail, and it might even be worth saving, but it doesn't matter. I feel like if you guys are willing to sit here listening to me chat about this, you guys deserve this story. So, so in any case, what ends up happening after that tournament is that I get a lot of people who start, you know, saying, hey, man, you should come back. Like, did you have fun? This and this. They're very encouraging. And I eventually heard about tryouts for this team called Paintball Addicts. Okay, I'm pretty sure I don't have any pictures of that. Okay, so I heard of tryouts for a team called Paintball Addicts, which was the factory team at the time. And they had 2 rosters. They had like I said, a black and a red. I'm pretty sure the black was the like A team and the red was not. And so they said, yeah, we actually lost a player on our 3-man team. Like, we'd love to have you try out, so on and so forth. I don't know why they wanted me to try out. I was absolutely garbage. But I think it was just there was, you know, back in the day in 2006, man, that was like the height of paintball. There were so many people playing and just trying to get people to join up and stuff. So anyway, I go to practice. I remember it was on a Sunday because I had to skip church, which was one of the first times I ever had to do that for a sport. I remember feeling very nervous about it. And we end up going out to Denny's afterwards. And one of the guys on the team said, like, hey, man, like, everybody has a nickname on this team. Because if you guys had played back then, if you guys played paintball back in the day, you would remember that most people, at least that's actually not true. I shouldn't say that. In Utah, at least, most people had a nickname. And so he's like, saying this to me, like, you need a nickname. Like, what should your nickname be? And I said some nicknames that were dumb. And you can't really give yourself a nickname. It's pretty stupid. And so the same kid who was talking to me was saying, well, I think your name should be Care Bear because, oh, I forgot to tell you, this team name was called Blues Clues. This is Blues Clues. So I remember he said, like, I think your team name should have always been Care Bears. You guys should have been the Care Bears because you all had different colors and this, and this. And so I eventually got the nickname Care Bear. So for a long time, and I mean a long time, from 13 till I was 21, people called me Care Bear. And it was only when I left on my mission to South Africa, for anybody who knows anything about, again, Mormons, we oftentimes will serve missions in different countries for 2 years at a time. And so I went off to South Africa, and it took 2 years of me being completely isolated from the real world to then come back and have that nickname only exist in some people's memory. Otherwise, that name would have persisted, and I probably would be called Care Bear to this day. My dad even calls me Care Bear, or at least used to, right? And so I come back, or excuse me, I go to this dinner. He says, I think you should be Care Bear, and it's stuck ever since then. There's even people to this day who, if were in this chat, they would say, dude, I know exactly that you're of Care Bear. Man, I'm so jealous of all those photos you have of your younger days. I've only got like 1 or 2. Well, I am very, very grateful that some of these pictures were taken. But it's sad because this isn't even half of it, right? I have so many other experiences and tournaments that I played in. And obviously some of these only exist in photos that I had to take with my phone. So in any case, I get onto Addicts. Paintball Addicts is 3-man team. And our first tournament is the XPSL in... Or maybe it's just it was XPSL in San Jose, California. Okay, and I remember that being like, dude, I'm now traveling. I took 3rd, and I'm gonna go play. I'm gonna go play in this 3-man tournament. Okay, and at that point, I think I was practicing enough and found that my PM6 was having problems. In hindsight, I really just think it was. For some of you, you don't appreciate this, but like paintball guns are very durable now. And are they have high tolerances to weather and to rain and temperature and paint quality, all this stuff. And obviously, paint quality has also improved and everything. But when the Ego 05 came out, the 05 Ego, when that thing came out, that thing was the Tippmann's of high-end guns. It could shoot anything. It could shoot pretty much any paint you wanted to shoot through it. And it had this very distinctive lob shot to it that people liked about it. And I didn't really have an opinion about different shots and guns because, again, my only experience was the Piranha and then the PM6, which the PM6 was fine, but it was causing me problems. And so I eventually got this 05 Ego that you can see in this bottom picture right here. I still have this jersey to this day, in fact. Matrixes were so leaky at the time. I loved them, but they were so finicky. I agree. And maybe that was the problem that I was having with it. So anyway, I don't remember much about this tournament, but I remember 2 distinct experiences, okay? The first was that the very first team that we drew was a team called Enigma, who was leading the series in the XPSL for 3-man and absolutely crushed us the first point. And I don't even remember if it was like, I don't even know if it was like a race to whatever, or if it was just literally you played 1 game and that was it. But we got smashed. And I'm pretty sure we only won 1 game, maybe 2 out of the entire tournament. And I don't remember. I think we played 5 at the very least. And so we didn't make it to Sunday. But anyway, they smashed us. The only other experience that I remember about this tournament was that when we were walking the field, which if you guys have been to San Jose at that time, it's all like dirt. It is like not mud, not like soil. It is dirt with like a few few pieces of grass here and there. And that's what we played on. And so, I was starting to feel myself a bit like, man, I'm on this team. Like I'm a contributing member. I'm starting to get better. Like I'm now a starter on the team, so on and so forth. And so we're walking the field and I'm like animated. I'm like telling them, this is what I think we should do. Here's where I think we should go. And again, this was like a mixed bunker scenario. So you can see that I'm in what appears to be an Aztec, but a lot of the field was actually like wooden. It was kind of like a mixture between a woods ball and a speedball field. And so as I'm walking the field, the very front bunker in front of you is actually like a wooden wall. It's kind of like a little bit of a bunker, right? It's kind of a C-shaped wooden wall. And so I'm saying like, yeah, you know, like I think right after the break, because we lost our game against Enigma, and so we had time to walk the field. And I was like, I think we need to just like push up the center. And I think the way we can do that is do this. And I started running, and I dove. And at the time, I didn't have that much experience in Superman diving. And what experience I did have was on turf. That absolutely helped you slide. And so I remember diving, and not just like, you know, oh, here's my elbows, but like full on bowing and landing right on my crotch. And now this is when I was 14. So you can imagine a 14-year-old who's gone through puberty, what happens in that moment. I think the best way to sum it up is the 2016 game Doom, where the narrator says rip and tear. That's exactly what happened. There was no give to that ground. I didn't go anywhere. I literally flopped on my crotch first, did not make any forward progress, and ripped and teared. That's exactly what happened. And I was done. Like, I was like, I don't want to play paintball anymore. I'm done. All right, I don't even think it was that extreme. It was just like, I don't want to play in this tournament. I'm out. Like, this hurts. I eventually got it together. I don't even remember how. I think I put ice on it. But those are the two most memorable experiences that I have of this tournament. Fun fact, I actually still have these goggles. They're actually just like right over here, which is kind of crazy to think about. I still have those profilers. So the long and short of it is that I play for Paintball Addicts for quite some time. Rip 14-year-old Zeke. Hey, guys, the positive news from this is that I have a 2.5-year-old. So things are good. Okay, we're okay. So I play for Paintball Addicts for, I don't know, some number of months. It might have even been like a year. I'm not exactly sure. And at the time, as you could probably imagine, Paintball Addicts and this other team called Ballistic were huge rivals at the time, because they had a lot of squads that were around the same age and competed in a lot of the same tournaments. Addicts Factory was doing what they could to build up their lower divisions and like their 3-man groups. And the only team that they had that was pretty good at the time was a novice team. And they were like, I think they had won a tournament once in the last, like, I don't know, 9 months that I joined. And so they were coming off of that high of winning that event. But Ballistic was super strong throughout. They had a winning 3-man squad, a winning rookie, and a winning novice squad. And they were, I believe, a lot of the players that were coming to that organization were those who either were leaving a team called Breakout, which, if you guys remember, is an old pro team. And you actually sometimes even see some of their jerseys around. But Breakout was a team that I think started out of Utah. If not, it was kind of just like a West Coast conglomerate of some kind. But a lot of players either from Ballistic went to play for that team, or the players that fizzled out came back to play for Ballistic. So Ballistic was very strong in every division they played. This is another story entirely that I don't really care to get into because it's really stupid. But the long and short of it is, I leave Addicts because I get scalped. Well, that's a terrible word. I get plucked by Kevin, who was the coach of Ballistic at the time. He comes up to me and says like, hey, you're playing really good. It was actually after an MWXPL event in Utah, at the Utah State Fairgrounds, that he was watching me, and he could see that like we weren't winning, but for whatever reason, he said like, you're definitely the best player on the team. Like, we want to pick you up. And so I felt very happy about that. It was very like ego boosting at the time. So I left Addicts to join Ballistic. There was a huge falling out with Addicts. Like, the owner of the field, there was a huge falling out with the coach. All my players and teammates, they all just kind of hated me. And it was also because there was some drama on like paintball forums that I had started, where I essentially threatened I would burn down Paintball Addicts for all the drama. It was so stupid. I was 15 at the time. Okay. And so you have to forgive me for being, angsty. But I joined I joined Ballistic, and that's the team that I played with probably the most, I would say. I mean, it was almost 50-50, but I played with Ballistic a lot. And in fact, before I joined Ballistic, I forgot I played for this team right here, who had the very offensive name of Filipino Headhunters. I don't know why. It was a throw together squad for one event. It was an MWXPL in Mesquite. So that was what this tournament was. And that's, I think, the only picture I have of that event. I still have that jersey. I don't know if I still have those pants, because I think I threw them away. Those are the Empire pants. But I still have that jersey, and I still love that jersey. It's super, super durable. But this is at the time when I got an 06 Ego, so I had kind of stepped up a little bit. At least I'm pretty sure that's an 06 Ego. And we actually took second place at that tournament. And I think... No, that's not this trophy. Okay. We took second at that tournament with a throw-together squad from, like, Paintball Addicts and a few other people. And we lost to Ballistic. And so then I get picked up by Ballistic, and I play for them for a long time. So that's where these pictures are coming from. So these are also an event in... I think it's XP... No, it's probably MWXPL still. Where this is also in Mesquite. There were several tournaments there. And so I still have, by the way, I still have those white bottoms on those JT Proflexes. And I really want to buy a JT Proflex and put them on, assuming they still fit. I don't know if they do. But those, even at the time, were like really rare. They were sought after. And so I'm thinking, like, man, maybe I should bring those back, because those are freaking cool. The only issue is that they're torn a little bit on the bottom, and they're kind of warped a little bit, but not too much. You could definitely use it. But I know that like this HK headband and like the JT Proflex mask is just like dripping. Absolutely dripping. The other thing that you'll notice about my form, which is absolutely not how I play now, is this massive chicken wing, which was probably, in my opinion, the biggest difference between paintball then and paintball now. For whatever reason, people just told themselves that you needed the chicken wing. You needed the chicken wing. Like, look at this. I'm playing up the center 50 with a massive chicken wing going on right now. And here as well. I don't know what it was, but it was just the style at the time. Poached. Thank you. That's the correct term. You're right. The best part of Golden Age paintball is that it sometimes involves classic early internet drama. That's true. You're right. Should still fit. Even better if you can get some old school thin frames. Nice. Okay. Well, I'll take a look. So, anyway, I played with Ballistic for a long time. This is actually when I guest played. Funny enough, this is when I guest played for one event. It was an XPSL in Bakersfield, and I guest played for the team Destiny. The very same Destiny that you're thinking of right now when I say that. They were short players. They were having huge issues with committed players, and they asked me and my friend to come play for them. And at the time, I had bought a PM6, or excuse me, a DM. I think it's a DM6 right there, if not a DM7, but I'm pretty sure it's this DM6. I bought a DM6, this olive whatever color, and it was garbage. It played probably 6 points ever in its lifetime, and I just couldn't get it to work. And at this point, like, I knew how to tech guns somewhat, and I had die techs, I had other people touch it, and it just couldn't work. And I got rid of that gun. It was absolutely garbage. This is from that. I have those same JT pants still. I have the camo. I have the like forest camo and the desert camo still, which I'm pretty happy about. Here's more pictures of the XPSL, I believe, out of Bakersfield. There's that other picture. Man, that tournament in Mesquite was flooded just before we got there. Here's a team that I played for called Ponage Photography. It was just for one event. It was called an XPS. It was the XPS event. It was an X-Ball event. And the day that we played it, it rained, and it was held by like a local team. It was actually held by the guy who owns Tombstone, if anybody's ever heard that team name. Anyway, more random pictures. Here's I still have this jersey, and I think about framing it all the time. But you can see barely. You can see it says Care Bear right here. So, Team Ballistic, that's when I was 15, give or take. That was the first time I ever played the snake in a tournament. I remember they said, we need somebody to go in the snake. Go into the snake. And then they were like, we need somebody to play the center. Go to the center. So I was just kind of like the versatile player that played around everywhere. Not that I was very good. We didn't win a single point that tournament. I do remember that. But I'm pretty sure that we won this event that I'm showing you pictures here for now. And I never got a trophy for that. So anyway, those are some old school paintball photos. So played for Ballistic, and then I think at around 17 I took a break. And at that point, there was a few other paintball places that had started opening up. When I came back, I just kind of played casually for a while. I had people that wanted me to come play, but I just wasn't really feeling it. And like the paintball scene wasn't great. And so I played in a few like just event nights. And then I ended up stepping away from paintball for quite some time. It was like, well, I stepped away at like 17 until I turned 19, I believe. And then I played, maybe not 19, it may have been 21 actually. And then I played in the, oh man, I'm showing you guys some of my private pictures. It was the WCPPL, was it 2016? Yeah, so then I ended up playing with this team, which was Utah Uprising. Let me see. Here I am. I still have that jersey as well. I actually really like this jersey. I think it's pretty cool. Played with this team for a little bit. I think it was just 2 events that I played with them. But if you guys will actually know one person here. So if you guys are paying any attention to the Aftermath roster, this is Troy Erickson, who now plays for Aftermath. I'm pretty sure he's still on the roster. So I'd played this event. I'm pretty sure I played 2 events with him. This one and one other out of Utah. Here's me with my M2, which I actually really liked. I really liked that M2. I only got rid of it because I was no longer sponsored by Dye, so I had to shoot something else. But we got wrecked. This is Division 4. We got wrecked this event, and then after those 2 events, I left to go play for Twisted, which was a fun team. And in fact, I'm pretty sure I have a World Cup 2016 album. So this is me playing for Twisted at World Cup 2016. And we took 17th place this event. And if you guys know anything about World Cup and like Division 4, it is a massive division. So 17th wasn't bad. But you'll also notice another name potentially here by the name. Oh, here's me. I actually made a video of this using a lot of these pictures, which I thought was pretty cool. But I was playing the Dorito 1 at the time. And look at that dive form, dude. That's Division 4 me diving. Now, one of the things that I will say that's a difference between older paintball and newer paintball is that people in old school paintball who took themselves serious would practice diving. I remember there were several practices that I would go to where all we would do is practice diving, or at least for a good portion of the practice. And especially when you're like really new to paintball, it's important to focus on those mechanics, right? And so I would focus on like side dives, like on one knee. I'd focus on Superman dives a lot. And so I actually consider my form to be, I mean, it's probably not great now, but at the time it was pretty dialed in. And that's something that people just don't ever really practice anymore. So here I am diving into the Doritos. This is a point that we won, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I got kill 3 at this point. Killed a guy heads up. The guy behind him died. I don't think I killed him. And then I shot crossfield, killed the number 2 on the snake side, and then ran down the field. There's me killing the number 2 on the snake side. And then here's me calling a hit. And then here's me shooting the last guy, and they blew the point. So that was a good one. Anyway, so took 17th, barely didn't make it to Sunday. We went 2-2, but we lost by point margin. But the other name that you might recognize on this team is actually Tuna, who played for semi-pro DMG for a long time, and he left semi-pro DMG because they kept passing him up for other players to join the roster for the pro squad, and he'd played for them for like 2 years, and he was pretty upset by that. So a lot of the players on this team ended up, moving on to do pretty cool things. So here's me again. We're not going to go through this whole album. There's a ton of pictures here, obviously. But to go back again to like early like 2008, 2005 paintball to now, I just think people want to just play points like they do today, but people were a lot more willing at practice to go through the steps, to go through the process of getting better at paintball, because there were a lot of people that were really good or had played for a long time were very, very good. And so you wanted to learn from them, and you were willing to listen to whatever they were going to tell you. So this is Tuna. This is me. This is Sage, who's on Bro Army. very good player. And this is Matt, who's on Bro Army as well. He's kind of come and gone. So there you have it. Wait, folks don't practice dives? I remember dive drills in like '05. Yeah, today, at least in my experience, most teams do not practice diving. Most teams do not practice form and mechanics. And I think the reason, at least a lot of the reason why people say that they don't, is because in their mind, that's it. You should do that in your own time, right? When you show up to the field, you should be ready to practice together, and do the drills that you need to as a team. And there's a part of me that agrees with that philosophy, because especially as you get older, like, your time should be respected, right? If you're trying to get 6, 7, 8 guys together on a day, you should be very purposeful with that time. And so obviously, being a younger kid, like, it wasn't as big of a deal, or it just seemed a lot easier to, to kind of spend a lot of your time working on the very basic fundamentals. I still think that there's value in that, to be honest. Ooh, look at that. Look at that picture. I still think there's a lot of value in doing that, but it's just something that people just don't do anymore. And you can see it. The thing is, a lot of people that who have been playing paintball for a long time, like myself, we don't practice dives on the field anymore. We're ready to play points. And so then when people want to come to the field and practice points, maybe people like me, I'm not, but maybe they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. Like, let's just play. And younger division players get that same sort of urgency. And so they don't end up practicing the dives that will actually protect them on the field, right? So you get a lot of injuries now, or at least I feel like injuries are bound to happen a lot more so because people aren't practicing those necessary mechanics. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it. That's fair. As kids, we only had so much free time, and it was all paintball. Absolutely. Bro, I used to get carpet burns practicing dives in my living room. Really? That's a lot of dives. I used to do a lot of drills in my house too. I don't obviously do much anymore with that, but okay. I think that's it for story time. I may just notice it more, but seems like there's a lot of core samples in the modern game. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think there's a lot of core samples for the fact that people don't practice their mechanics very much. But I think it's also because people are too used to playing paintball on turf. Now, certainly, like, at least in Utah, we practiced a lot on carpet because that's just, with the weather being the way that it is, you couldn't play for like 5 to 6 months out of the year sometimes because the weather was so bad. And so a lot of my experience is on cement with a pad and carpet. But all the tournaments that we obviously played in were grass. But a lot of tournaments that you play in today are on turf. And so, but the NXL, with the exception of like the Lone Star event, the NXL's major events are all played on grass, right? And so if you decide to go play in a higher division at the NXL, you're now having to play on conditions that either the grass is not grown very well, like in the case of last year's, like, what was it, Mid-Atlantic Major? Not last year's, like 2 years ago, where it was just like literally dirt on a farm. Or you have to, I don't know, or you get lucky and you get really good grass that's going to have a little bit of morning dew on it and stuff. That's like the best playing condition in my opinion. But it's just interesting that like people don't really care to practice those fundamentals in all sorts of conditions, and you see it in their approach. Like, you see that, and people get injured all the time because of it. I need to practice Superman dives more. I do too as well. I think mechanical fundamentals are something that is taken for granted by the older players, and we frequently don't really start at that low of a level with people anymore. Yeah, that's actually true. I think it's probably because casual paintball, like true rec ball, is such a rare thing in my experience anymore. Like, first of all, it doesn't exist in Utah. Like, we don't have hardly any paintball facilities. Actually, I don't think we have a single paintball facility in Utah, with the exception of Saints down south, where you can play a rec ball speedball game. And that has to be by RSVP. So you can't just like show up on a Saturday and have people there. You have to like join a Facebook group, say that you're going to be there, get enough people to show up, or get enough people to RSVP for the guy to even open the field up. But just so many places have gone into business that we don't have that anymore. And so all the fields that do exist are all catering to rec ball players, and which makes sense. I mean, you keep your business alive through rec ball, through like true woods, / casual paintball. But in my experience, so much of the fun and joy of paintball was that I would show up to the field. So I was fortunate enough that when I started playing at Paintball Addicts, my dad's office was literally like 200 steps down the street, and I'm not even joking. So when my dad opened up his own business, he happened to open it up right next to a paintball facility. And so every day after school, I would come to the paintball field and I would either play or I'd go work for my dad and then go, depending on if it was like could we do like Wednesday night games and stuff like that, where there'd be a lot of people that show up and we'd play. So I was at the field all the time when I was a kid. So I would practice because there was nobody to shoot at. I would practice my fundamentals. I would do a lot of diving and sliding, and I would do a lot of like different routes and stuff. I mean, it wasn't nearly as like efficient or sophisticated as it is now, but I was at least putting in the work. And so, but that was something that I was eager to do even at that age. And today that people don't have that same eagerness. You know, if you live, for example, if you live down in Southern California, where you've got Camp Pendleton, which if you can even access it anymore, but for a long time you have Camp Pendleton, where you've got typically at least one field set up, if not two, and then you have one other field that's just turf. And it's not really a field that people like play on because it's, either pros will be running drills on it or it'll be a staging area for like a tournament. But that's a flat ground with turf where you could absolutely work on your fundamentals and just practice that over and over. But people don't like to do that because it's embarrassing, or people don't want to be judged. I don't know. Whatever the case is, people just don't have the same excitement and urgency to do that. They just see all of their other friends just going to the field and playing points, and like that, I think it's kind of a fear of missing out sort of thing. Like if you're going to show up to a day of paintball and all your friends want to play, but you want to put in the work to do drills, you're probably not going to do that, right? So anyway, it's interesting. Just double knee slide 100% of the time. You know what's crazy? I know this is kind of maybe not that important or not that crazy, I guess, but I don't think I have a single picture of me double knee sliding into a bunker. Now, there's obviously like a sampling bias there, so it's not to say that couldn't be the case. It's not to say that I haven't ever double knee slided. It's just that I don't have a picture of me ever doing it. This is me preparing for the paintball combine, which is pretty fun. The absolute dead of winter in Utah. This is an incredible drill, by the way. If you've never done this, the BKI drill, the running and gunning drill, you should absolutely work on this drill if you've not ever done it before. I'm just going to show this for a second. Which I can explain if people are curious, but man, it was exhausting to have that cold winter air. So you do it 3 times on one side and then rotate and do it 3 times on the other side. And by the time you're done, it's a good workout. It's a good workout. Okay. I think I said that was it for stories. Oh, you guys can't see it. Oh my gosh, that's so cringe. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna rewatch it. Here we go. You guys, I did not realize what scene I was on, so here you go. I see nothing. You said your Superman dive isn't as strong as it was. What's the cause of that? The cause of that is because I've lost a bit of confidence in my ability to dive because I've noticed my shoulder ligament strength weaken. And a lot of this field, for the longest time, this is the field that we still play on. And if you guys are in the Discord server, you'll have seen that we just recently mowed it with like brand new grass and stuff. But a lot of that field is just that dirt that doesn't give at all. It's just grit. It just grips you. And so some of my form and how I dive has to change because it hurts. You can seriously injure yourself if you just try to dive like you always do for a Superman. And that actually, unfortunately, has led to pictures like this. Which, I mean, I don't do this much anymore because I have since tried to improve on it. But I just feel like I was a younger guy then, right? Like I could just throw my body, and not necessarily with like bad form, but I could just throw my body at something and it would do what I wanted. And I'm 30 now, so like I have to be careful about it. But I know that when we practiced on our field for a long time, I was very hesitant about doing the full committed Superman. So here's actually a moment that hurt because I did a bad approach on an otherwise fine turf field. I could have done it. This was a bit of a grippy turf, but this is me like copping out and taking the side slide, and it was bad form because of it. And I didn't go anywhere. So if I'd committed to the Superman, it would have been fine. But there was another picture I was going to show you. Oh, like here's another example of Haunted Cup. So this is a tournament that I won in Division 4 that actually had points for it, which was cool. So this was the tournament that Rob Scott, this is when I was playing for Rob Scott, and this is the tournament where he said like this kid could go pro if he wanted to. And I remember that was like a huge ego boost. And one point in particular, and the finals, in fact. So here's the dive. Here's the dive that I will always remember. This dive hurt, but I remember this is the dive I felt like I had to take because it was the only way I was going to dodge the paint. So this is a high dive. If you guys are noticing right now, look at where my arms are. Like if I was to do this dive properly, my arms would be way lower right now. But I am about to dive straight in the air, okay? I think there's a picture of it. Oh, there isn't. There's got to be. In fact, I know that there is a picture of this. It might just be out of order. I know it exists because I've used it in a thumbnail before, or I was going to use it in a thumbnail. But maybe not. Here's the finals. This is actually the finals right now, these pictures. But and one of the points in the finals, I actually pulled off a 1v4 after we had lost all of our bodies. The team that we were playing against did not put it together that it was a 1v4, but it was a 1v4. And the experience that I will never forget was when Rob Scott was talking to my dad, and he was saying, here's the same picture. So I guess that's the only screen picture I have of it. But I remember Rob Scott saying to my dad, essentially a play-by-play as it was happening, what I was going to do. And he knew that I was going to do that because I was a smart player or whatever. And so he's like, yeah, he's going to go to the 50. As soon as he does that, he's going to look on the inside. He's going to shoot the wide guy in the snake. He's going to then wrap and shoot the guy in front of him. And then he's going to run down the field. And that's exactly what I did. and again, like, that was a huge ego boost. Excuse me. And I remember after the tournament, after we won, here's our picture of us. I never got a trophy for this. After we won this tournament, and by the way, this is my first I believe this is my very first APPA tournament. No, that's not true. This isn't the first one I played in. This is the first one that I had won that had points associated to it. I'm pretty sure I'd only played in 2 tournaments before this that had any sort of PBL or APPA ranking. But as you guys can see, like, I've played in a lot of tournaments before this. And so that's why, like, I don't have any points. Even if I did, they would have deteriorated because of the breaks I had taken. But like a lot of times when people have discussions about, you know, what my rank is and stuff, or what am I ranked, I literally don't care because I've played so much paintball before they had ranking systems, and a lot of the tournaments that I played in after that were not APPA registered tournaments. That's tragic. Here's me getting hit in the pack. Ugh. I love those pants, by the way. Those dye ultralight pants are still to this day one of my favorite pairs of pants. Anyway, so I think that's it. I keep saying that this is all I'm going to tell you guys, and here I am still rambling about different paintball stories. Who is in the black and red jersey? Wait, I'm sorry. How long ago? Here? Black and red? Is that the one? This is Tuna. Or not Tuna, excuse me. This is, oh my gosh. Talon is his name. This is, here, Ryan. This is his son, Talon. Well, I'm 34. Just started playing. Ouch, Porter dislocated. Jeez. Oh, Porter. I feel you, bro. Let's see. Let me read some of this. Yeah, that snow on the field. Yeah, that was not fun. You on turf or open play? Yeah, it happened to me. Injured my shoulder just practice of the season, sliding into my bunker on the snow. Went straight in on my back. Ouch, 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 ouch. Yeah, the only pushback I'd give is that if you watch pros, or if you watch videos of pros from 2005, you'll see pros that largely look like current D4 players mechanically. Wait, what pushback? What did I say? So, yeah, I actually totally agree with that sentiment. So, I think that although like paintball was played very differently back in 2005 than it is today, and we have made by and large forward progress in that regard, right? Like the way that our Division 5 players are playing paintball today is astronomically better than what Division 2 or Division 4 and Division 3 were playing back at that time frame, right? The kind of like middle of the pack sort of group. And the people that are in Division 2 right now, maybe even top of Division 3, would be contenders to the pro division in many cases. You'd obviously still have teams like Excessive and Dynasty that would be just lights out really good. Other teams maybe like Avalanche, but like people who are winning Division 3 tournaments right now and winning Division 2 tournaments are better than a lot of pro teams were in 2005. Like you think about that tournament that Oliver Lang was in, or that was on ESPN, where it was Dynasty versus, I think it was Excessive in the finals, that was in Huntington Beach, I believe. It had like the car wash bunker in the back center. If you had taken any Division 2 team currently and put them in that scenario, they would have absolutely stomped Dynasty. Like, no questions about it. Now, obviously, people on Dynasty would disagree with that probably, because they were such a winning team at the time. But my point is mostly just that mechanics were so refined, it's very hard to kill Division 2 players. And obviously the further up you go, like semi-pro even, like pick any semi-pro team right now, and they would be probably the #1 team in the pro division back in 2005, probably. And so anyway, it's kind of crazy when you go back and watch how pros used to play paintball. A lot of mechanics were really bad, didn't know how to hold their guns right. Gunfighting didn't even exist hardly. Like snap shooting was the conversation, but like people were just not good at snap shooting. Their form was really bad. And there were some people that were known for having really great accuracy, but when you watch them, they're like whipping their barrels back and forth and they're snapping, which is like the biggest no-no you can make, right? I feel a dislocate in my shoulder for the first time last month in a 3-man tourney. Really? Oh man. That's how my field is. Dirt right in front of where the bunker tends to be. Oof. That's exactly how ours was, and unfortunately, it just fixed itself. But hi, dude, Tonlo, what's up, buddy? How are you? The power of youth, absolutely. I was just thinking, you missed the story, but I'm thinking to myself, oh, Tonlo's actually heard this story before. So, who was in the black and red jersey? I answered that. Dai's new ULC pants are dope. Is that the carbon pants? Because I really like those too. I think those are awesome. Rehabbing, stretching, strengthening. It's a process, but I too have lost some confidence in my diving. Yeah, it's just that in the 2021 season, our field was like dead pretty much the entire season. And so most of the way that I had to approach sliding became very, very awkward. Like, and even if you even look at my front player guide video, which I'm sure you guys have all noticed this. I don't even know if I can watch it without YouTube kind of throwing a fit. But in one of the parts of the video, you'll see that I actually go to the Dorito out to the side. And it's garbage form. It's this video right here. So you'll notice that like when I kick out here, this is the peak of my lack of confidence in diving because of that grass. Because like, look at it. That stuff hurts, right? And so like I just take the side route and it's just bad. It's bad form. That's not good form. Not even for what it is that I'm trying to do, but it's because I want to dive, but I'm scared to do so. Oh my gosh, guys, why? So I need a freaking mod. I need a mod that can just like manage my scenes, because I am talking. Nobody can see what I'm talking about. So here it is. Sorry guys, I'm not paying attention to my scenes over here. So shooting. So right here, boom. Like this is I'm too scared to make that as a Superman. Whereas this should be a Superman dive. If not a actual proper like side dive where you like, you know, man, my farmer's tan is gnarly right now. Anyway, that dive is the peak of my lack of confidence in diving because the field was so bad. So, all right, you guys saw it. Here we go. D3 seemed gritty. Watching Carolina Crisis at World Cup play D3 was, yeah, dude. Well, Carolina Crisis is a pretty gritty team in my opinion, which is awesome. I've been eyeballing those dye pants as well. Nice. Basically just saying we're practicing fundamentals and dives constantly, but it wasn't paying the dividends apparently. Basically just saying we practice fundamentals and dives constantly, but it wasn't paying dividends. The dividends apparently. Interesting. I'm not sure I follow you, Jordan. I kind of get what you're saying, but I would have assumed that sentence would have ended, but it hasn't paid dividends. But I don't know if you're talking about then versus or now. But in any case, I just think like my biggest piece of advice to anybody who wants to get better at paintball is just put in the work. Like, don't just play points. Think about the game, work on your fundamentals, put in the work to get better at those things, because like most of the reasons why people cannot survive in their bunkers or they die making moves is because their fundamentals are not good, or they're not refined. And so like I think one of the biggest compliments you can give a player is that they're very hard to kill, and that's pretty consistently the compliment that people give me, which I am very grateful for because it's something I care a lot about. But like that's just because I play really tight in my bunker. I can see the paint coming well before it gets to me, and I can see the direction of the paint coming at me, and I'm doing what I can to remain aware of my surroundings and just what's going on in front of me. So I'm always trying to get, even if people are shooting right at me, I'm head checking and I'm staring at them as they're shooting this angle over here, and then I switch when they switch and stuff like that. And so that all comes down to just like working on those fundamentals and stuff. All right, I said we would do it. We haven't done it yet. Let's oh, first of all, my Discord's busted. Give me just a second. I realize you guys can't see anything right now. All right, well that's it. That's it for story time, guys. I would like to actually do more stuff like this. I didn't mean to just like dump all of my stories in one stream because I feel like it would be better to kind of save that. But I still think it was kind of fun. So we're done with story time. If you guys want to join me for a little bit of 2D paintball, just kind of, you know, we're just going to chill. We can talk. We can do whatever. You guys should absolutely download. I think you can just work in the browser as well. But I got it for Steam because I'm curious to see how it'll work. But if you guys want, feel free to join me. So let's see.